profitable practices. Farm Solutions for People, Profit, and the Planet on Real Agriculture is brought to you by Farm Credit Canada and RBC Royal Bank.
Hey, Kara Oosterhuis here with RealAgriculture.com. I recently had the opportunity to catch up with Andrea Strovi-Sawa of Shipwheel Cattle Feeders in Taber, Alberta. Andrea and her family have adopted innovative grazing practices in order to make their operation more sustainable and more profitable. Check out my conversation with Andrea now.
Yeah, so I'm the fourth generation of the Holtman family to be here. We own a 5,500 head feedlot that was started probably in the 60s by my grandfather, Billy Holtman. My great-grandfather came over from Sweden in 1890. He was 14 years old when he left, and he came by himself on a boat and came into the United States and kind of made his way up into Canada, where he settled around here. And when he had saved up enough money to purchase some livestock, he found some livestock that he wanted to purchase that had the Shipwheel brand. And so he purchased in those days you had to purchase all the livestock to own the brand. And so he purchased all the cattle, all the sheep, all the horses that had the Shipwheel brand. And that's where the name Shipwheel comes from.
Okay, cool. So talk a bit about what you guys have going on your operation here. You're a part of a few different things.
Yeah, so we have a 5,500 head feedlot. We feed some of our own, and then we also are a custom feedlot, which means that we feed cattle for other people as a service. So then we also produce about 10,000 tons of compost that we sell to neighboring farmers around the area. We produce vermicompost, essentially worm poo compost, but it's a really great product, and it's very different from compost that we make from the feedlot as far as its bacterial and fungal count. So it's a really high fungal, lower bacterial product that we get to use for different things, and we sell a little bit of it off the farm as well.
So talk about your approach to sustainability on the farm. You know, in all these different ventures, it kind of brings into the whole sustainability conversation. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so people often think, oh, Shipwheel, they're sustainable because they are grazers. They like to graze. They do really good at grazing. But if we were only grazing, we would not be sustainable. It's all the things together that make us sustainable. So, and able to continue doing this. So we graze, yes, but we also have the feedlot that is a tool for rest when we're grazing. If I didn't have the feedlot, then I couldn't produce as much compost as we do. And if I didn't have the feedlot, then we couldn't have the farm store on the yard, and so it grows. So all of these things kind of stack on top of each other. And it's not any one thing that makes us sustainable. It's all the things kind of working together in a system.
So talk about your grazing operation. How does it work? You guys use multi-paddocks. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so back in the 80s, my dad stumbled into a conference center and listened to Alan Savory talk to a whole room of about 10 or 15 people about his methods of grazing and how he involved the whole ecosystem and the decision-making process. And so he came back and converted our continuous grazing and cropping system into 65 different paddocks and 3 different grazing cells. And that's currently what I manage now. So when we started keeping track of data and of stock days, and we were stocking cattle at 2.36 animal days per acre. So 2.36 animals on 1 acre for 1 day. Currently, last year, I believe we were at 117 animals on 1 acre for 1 day. So increased our stock days exponentially, but also have increased our organic matter, increased our biodiversity, improved the water cycle. So he got to do all that in his 40 years. And so now he's increased it this much, and my challenge is to take it even further. And so that's kind of my big challenge now, and something that I put it on myself, but that's my challenge, is to take it. How do I take it further?
So what are some of the things you're looking at to take that further?
I've tried everything. We've done bale grazing, we've done obviously mob grazing, we've done seeding, we've done a lot of different things. And I think the thing that we kind of decided on for this year and going forward for a few years is to really start to look at each paddock and every spot at a micro level, and being able to take soil tests ourselves. We're going to learn how to read soil tests under a microscope and see what's going on under the ground, and biologically, but also in chemistry as well, and just see, okay, on this paddock in this area, we're lacking in fungal count, and what can we do to change that? And ultimately because the secret is always carbon, right? How do we sequester more carbon, and how do we drive it down into the earth? Yeah.
If you look at sustainability in the whole ecosystem, how do you measure that as successful?
I think one of the things is if we have to try and fail at something always, but I think it's not any one thing that we're like, oh, this is the silver bullet. If we just get this, then if I increase my stock days by 10%, it's kind of little incremental changes, little wins all the time. And so it might be as simple as the thistle patch that we had here that we used molasses blocks on last year and grazed the cattle really densely there. Now the thistles are gone, and the knapweed patch, or the diversity is getting better, or even as far in the feedlot, our feed efficiency was way better this year, and our health was way better this year. We had really low death loss and really low treatment level. It's all of those things kind of coming together. So I can't say that there's any silver bullet, oh, if we do this, just get this, then we're sustainable forever. I don't think that that's the case in our context. I think it's a bunch of little incremental wins, incremental changes and wins, and some failures probably too.
And what would you say others can learn from you guys when it comes to sustainability and maybe taking a leap and implementing some of these practices?
I think it's not any one thing that's going to be, oh, if I just rotationally graze, or I just adaptive multi-paddock graze, I'll be sustainable. Or if I'm no-till, then I'm sustainable. It's kind of looking at the whole thing, your whole place as a system and within your context. And just because it works for me on my place does not mean that it's going to work for anybody else on anybody else's place. But you can take little bits and learn little bits from everybody and say, okay, well, that won't work on my place, but this probably would. I'm going to try this. And just keep learning and growing and getting better, making mistakes. I've made a lot of those.